In this video, we're going to talk about the importance of big toe extension, which is lifting the big toe up, and big toe flexion, which is pulling the big toe down, and the importance of those two qualities of the big toe during gait. So if we think about our foot on the ground when we're walking, and we're sort of pulling ourselves backwards to propel ourselves forward, what we're going to see as we go forward and our foot wants to come off the ground is that that big toe, relative to the rest of the foot, comes up into more and more extension. So you can see that there's a certain range of motion here where the big toe either stays on the ground or eventually has to come off the ground. So let's say that you don't have a big toe that can lift up very far. Maybe it just goes 10, 15 degrees if that, and you're walking and you get to this point here. We actually can't achieve this point because the toe doesn't really do that. So we're going to get to this point here, and then immediately the toe is going to want to come off of the ground, so we're no longer really able to put much force into the ground. Whereas if you have a big toe that can go further, this entire duration, you can produce force this entire time to help you propel through space on your walking or running goal. Now, if the big toe doesn't allow that much motion, and we get to here, well, already a big portion of what I can pull through the ground is no longer available to me. So to keep up my same speed or the same number of steps, I'm actually going to have to deliver the same amount of force, but through lesser ranges of motion, which is going to be an easy way to overload some of that. In addition, if we can't actually lift up the big toe like that, a lot of times the body will just find a workaround to go around it, and that's going to be a common situation if you can picture that from the front here. If I can't come up like this, then my body's going to want to go around the big toe, sort of in a pivoting motion like this, spinning the foot off the ground, and when that happens, that's going to put that big toe into more of a bunion position. So a lot of times, if we can't actually lift that big toe, one of the compensations is that our body goes around it. So those are the two reasons why extension is good. One is to lengthen the amount of time that I can actually exert force against the ground. And number two, so that we don't actually have a compensation where we're spinning our foot in an unusual way to avoid going over the top of the big toe because we can't do it. Now for flexion, this ability to pull the toe down represent our ability here in a neutral position to pull the big toe into the ground. If the end of our range of motion is neutral, we're not going to be able to exert very much force at the end of our range of motion, because when we're just standing here, we're in neutral, and if the big toe is weak here, how can it pull into the ground and support our foot? So what we want to see is big toe flexion to be able to go at least, say, 10 or 15 degrees below neutral, be able to produce force there without cramping, and that's going to represent a much higher ability to produce force when we're standing or when we're walking, as the big toe is able to push force, keep pushing force all the way through the very end of the gait cycle.